Hello, chat. Welcome. Sorry we're a little late tonight. Uh just right, like I said, was not sleeping, was not having sandwich attacks. Just was kind of fuck around and wasn't really paying attention to myself. So sorry, chat. It is what it is, chat. It is what it is. But welcome to the show. It's Saturday night. We are gonna get into the battle for Texas, and we're gonna talk about this a little more in depth. There have been some updates. In fact, Betto O'Rourke got a big BTFO on things here, and it was very funny, very fitting for him. Betto O'Rourke, Bob the fake Mexican, the guy who lost for senator how many times in Texas, has lost for governor how many times in Texas. The man just keeps. I just don't understand. They just keep racking up L's with this guy, and they keep going back to him, and I don't understand. I don't understand why. I don't understand why. Also, I had to fix the thumbnail there. So, hold on here. Hold on here. All right. So there we go. Let's get to this. Beta was a loser and he's gay. Yes. The man really just likes Tex-Mex. Yeah, that too. Sweet Tooth Fairy says, happy 40th. Okay. Yes, we are almost there, chat. We're almost there. And in fact, we'll use it because it's really apropos right now. We'll stop over to potentiallycriminal.com because it's got our countdown set up for it. You guys remember? If you guys don't remember, Maddie B put this all together. Once again, thank you to Maddie B for that. Let's see where we're at. How far away are we? Is it my birthday? Well, technically it's the 10th of 2 hours, 35 minutes, and 36 seconds. But I wasn't born until like 8 o'clock at night. So we got a ways to go still. We got a ways to go. Fix my hair. Oh, in the back? You put on the headphones and it fucks everything up. I have to like start using like hairspray or something to keep it all down. So so there we go. That is there. And also let's just check to see if you guys have left any comments here. Bifrons saying N. Aaron Imholt. I don't know if that's really steel toe, but also says N. Jillian Siobhan saying happy's of birthdays to the best ever law blogger. Well, thank you. And then Bifron says happy 40th, Sean. Thanks for the awesome streams. You make law fun. Here's to many more. Well, thank you guys. Thank you. Yes, it's my birthday over in Europe now. Yes. You could Aaron's goo to fix your hair. Yeah, it's like there's something about Mary. Yes. He's old. He's dented. Nah, yeah. Yes, for once, chat is not lying about my birthday. That's the other thing, guys. That's the other thing. Jillian says, "Oh, you we get a good unboxing tonight." Well, we got the last one, chat. We got the last one. Got the last one here from 2.0. So let's get into this. So here we go. Guys, we might go live tomorrow. Like, I'm gonna go see my family. Stuff like that. So I don't know what time I'll get back. Maybe we'll do something tomorrow. I don't know. So I know some of you guys are like, oh, we're gonna do something. Like maybe. I'm not trying to say like you guys don't matter, but it's it's my birthday, hanging out with my family. I mean, we might do something really quick later tomorrow night. I don't want it to be like, oh, it's my birthday here, like, and pull a DSP, like, if you guys give me money, we'll unlock the thing. I'll have a birthday next year. That would be funny. He loves his family more than us, chat. Yes. Oh. 40's basically it. It's downhill. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I don't love you guys anymore. Oh. Well, Hunch, it's just like Captain Winters told Bull Randleman. Cat, it's not that I hate everybody. It's not that I hate chat. I just hate you. Is your family more important than chat? For the most part. Chat will be left and raised by a single mother. Yeah. Hey, hold on here real quick. Clyde! I hear the click-clacks. I wish you guys could hear these click-clacks. They're so cute. Come here, Bubba. Hey, Clyde, come here. Hey, up here. He's like staring around the floor. Hey, down here. Clyde, up here. There you go. Like, he's just like, he's sniffing around on the ground, and I'm like, Bubba, right here. But we have a Clyde. Hello. Hello, Clyde. Can you give him an awoo? You were sleeping. I know you were. Give them an awoo. Chat wants an awoo, Bubba. Chat wants an awoo. Come on. Do it. Do an awoo. I guess we'll... Clyde, like this. I need you to do this for me, buddy. You heard it. He heard it. Come on, Clyde. Give me an awoo. Come on. Come on. Give me an awoo. What? No, he just needs to get like all like ready. Come on, Clyde, do it. Do it. Awoo. Come on. Hi, Bupper. Come on. Republican Party Chairman Clyde. Come on, puppers. Come on. Oh, God, Jesus, bumps are huge on your back. Come on, Clyde. Woo. Come on, Bubberkins.
What?
You gonna give it a woo?
He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Ouch. Okay, there's too much stuff here. Would you like a pee? Would you like this big pee? Huh? You good boy. There you go.
He's got a peen, chat.
Got a skinny peen.
Should I worry about him eating that?
No.
Or is that small if he won't choke on it?
He'll be fine.
Okay. See that, chat? He can't choke. He's a goat throat.
Yes, if they're needed for you.
Yes. Oh, I'm going to put him down right now. All right, Clyde, I'm going to sit you on the ground, Bubber. Clyde, watch out. Jeez. That was a peen? That's like... Clyde only works for the peens, man. He knows what he can get. So, yeah. So. Good dog. Clyde is nothing but a good dog. So, Danny, we're going to cover that. So, why does Clyde have incense? No, it wasn't incense. That's just a thin, dehydrated bull penis. You don't have to go to Jamaica to find bull dick. You can buy it on Amazon. So, yes, he has a daddy. No! Yes. Yeah, he does. Anyways, 2.0 got me. Ooh. Oh, this is interesting. Hold on. Hey, 2.0, where did you find this? It's this one. It is. It's the Soviet version of Fat Man. The nuclear bomb. No. Do you find this on Amazon? Oh, okay. Interesting. Yes, it's the Russian version of Fat Man. Yes, it's the one they copied. It's the one the Rosenbergs went to the electric chair for. We had a commie pig roast. Those dirty little commie bastards got fried for. That's right. Little boys never remember. Everybody remembers the Fat Man. Yes. Imagine communism, which fails at food. Imagine them trying to make the Fat Man. Yeah, I know. They had to copy the Fat Man. Does it come with the action figure? No, I don't think so. That'd be a fun diorama of the Rosenbergs in the chair. That would be amazing. Yes, guys, 2.0, and that's the thing I do want to say real quick. So, that's getting clipped. Tsar Bomba, no, the Tsar Bomba was a hydrogen bomb tested later. This is Fat Man, like we dropped on Hiroshima. The Rosenbergs, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, helped leak the plans to the Russians to make a copy. So, is it my birthday today? Not till tomorrow night, or not till midnight. So, let's see here. We can use Ben Shapiro action figures to represent the Rosenbergs. Nick the Fat Electrician is a full-size replica of Little Boy? Really? Cool. Cool. They dropped the Fat Man on the sandwich shop. Funny. Funny, funny, funny. What kind of cake does Chad get for your birthday? You get Suffocake. Get Suffocake. And then EDW Raptor for $2 says, wait, it's his birthday? Yes, it is my birthday. Almost. That Hunch Dirty Roofer says, why you gotta go for smokes and milk at this hour? Oh, there is water in here. Okay, I was like, is there any water left in this fucker? And yes, Chant, there is. Okay. Yes, you guys get cock sandwiches. And Debbie says 2.0, what a great idea you had for the 40 for 40. It's been fun. It has been. Now I got a ton of shit to work on. Although I'm curious because this is a I thought about one of these nights when we do the model stream, you can buy Garan drones. I think they're sold in America, or like I don't know where I'm gonna have to get it, but it's like a Russian Garan drone that's like hitting Kiev. I think that'd be funny to do that, or do like a 3D printed Kinzhal. So I mean, like, too bad this ain't going to Kiev. I'm just saying. 5-star model days. Yeah, look, let's just open this real quick and see what it is, because I'm curious to know what's on it. Oh, and then my cat's name is Karen said, then it's my birthday. Oh, cool. Cool. You're totally going to do this for your husband's 50th? Great idea. Oh, wow. Cool. We could probably do this all in one night. It's not too bad. It's pretty easy. It looks like a lot of pieces though, but it's also got all the different little attachment points and all where all the wiring stuff came out. Does it come with its own demon cord? No, it does not look like it. And there's no Lewis Slotkin to kill. No, the Shaheed drones. No, the Garan drones. Oh. Today's your boyfriend's birthday. Cool. You're like, Mom, I need to borrow the lawnmower to make it an accurate Iranian drone. Yes, they pretty much are. They're using lawnmower engines. Oh. My cat's name is Karen. I think of you on my sleepover date tomorrow night, Sean. I'll be getting laid for you. Get laid for yourself. Get laid for yourself. Don't. I appreciate the thought, but just rule number 1 is look out for number 1. So thank you though. You prefer an elephant foot diorama? That would be funny. Can I arm it with the elements from smoke detectors? That would be fun too. Does the nuke come with a self-righteous socialist that acts surprised when the weapon he was designing worked? Is that an Oppenheimer joke? Because Oppenheimer was actually pretty confident it was going to work. And EDW Raptor is laughing at himself, I guess. Hey, it works. All right. All right, chat. Let's get started. Now, what were we talking about before? We are dealing with the redistricting of Texas and gerrymandering. And we talked about this a little bit on Thursday night. But there is an entire redistricting for 2025. And it's Texas, this is the where is it here? Hold on, there's the before and after map. Texas has gone through a lot of redistrictings, chat. So this is an example of where Texas used to be in 2003 and 2004. And it's a lot different than what we're going to look at real quick. If you notice that there were some Republican gains back then, and Texas, and it's weird because they have other states around. You think they could focus it, but notice Texas has a very weird it's very weird how it's set up. But you notice in the South, those counties going right down the border, down all the way to like Brownsville and all along the southern tip. Those are a hotbed issue for Texas. And where are we now? Well, we're in a different situation now. Texas is transformed almost all the way into a different setup. And this is one of the spoils of war. If you win, your state house, you can control a lot of things. And what they did is they released, at the end of the month here in July, they released this as their map. So we go from this in Texas to this now. And look what they've changed. I mean, it's changed over the years, but this thing down here, look at it now. Although, to be fair, Trump made massive gains in all these areas, even in 2020 when he lost. Some of the counties that were almost 90-some% Latino were going for Trump. Trump was making massive gains all over Texas. So it's not really as though the Democrats are just suffering because they ain't got shit. And they're getting run out of town. But Texas is getting have I brought up that Brandon Herrera is running for Congress again? No. No, is he going to go against that Tony Gonzalez guy, or is he doing a different one? And Nero says this is an issue because the northern cities control the southern half of those ridiculous districts. Yeah. Yeah, and if you guys don't understand the map of Texas here, well, we can do a little bit of just so you guys understand. And the big city in this area is, hold on here. We're going to bring this up so I can show you guys. It is, hold on here. Where's the map? Trying to show you guys in a way that makes sense. Just going to show it. Yes, this map will show us, I think. Yes, this map will show. This map will help us here. So this map helps us a lot. Because here's the thing. Here's Dallas-Fort Worth. And Dallas and Tarrant counties. So here's Tarrant County. Here's Dallas County. Here's Austin. Then there's Harris County. That's Houston. And then you get on over to, this is called, it says BEXAR, but it's Bear County. And this whole area actually right here. This is San Antonio. And those are the things. And then obviously here's El Paso. That's what is kind of the issue here in Texas. McAllen, yeah, but it's not even close to Austin. Yeah, it is. Austin County. Isn't that in Austin? Austin's a little to the left. I thought Austin was in Austin County. Okay, hold on here. What county is it in? It's in Travis County. I'm sorry. I thought it was in... Okay, sorry. Sorry, chat. My bad. They're in Travis County. My bad. Here's Austin. I thought Austin was in Austin County. That would only make the most sense for this goddamn state. But no, they don't. So anyways, here's Austin. Here's Houston. Here's San Antonio. Here's Dallas, Dallas, Fort Worth. And then this is El Paso. So that's kind of the breakup here. And if you guys look at this map, this 2025 map and what Texas was dealing with, even you go back to this map, look where all the blue runs. The blue runs to go collect up Dallas. It goes to pick up San Antonio and Austin, and it goes along. And this is done for a reason. This is done for a reason because that's how you take these districts and keep power in them. That's how you keep them blue. Because if everybody else in the county wants to vote, but you end up with, part of San Antonio dominating your thing, you're screwed. You can't beat it. So that's why they went ahead and do this. They're cutting down space. They're cutting down what they can get away with here. Because now you can't gerrymander. You're going to make these people have a chance where they're just voting. And this is really where the current map is and the previous map are. The existing map right now already kind of eliminates a lot of things because Trump won all this stuff in 2024. So Trump won these areas in the South. And the Republicans are just going to consolidate them and make them fair. Like these counties, they're not going to go all the way up to San Antonio. They're not going to go all the way up to, once again, here's where those counties are. As you can see on this map, what they're going to do with it. So here you've got Dallas, Fort Worth. Here you've got Houston. Here you've got Austin. Here you've got San Antonio. And notice they're isolating the cities and allowing everybody else to have a chance. There's El Paso. They're going forward in that way. Every county flipped to Trump or stayed the same, yeah. Kat, was I saying those are the 2004? Yes, to show you so far why things are going that way. It was just an example of bringing that up. Yes, Travis County is named after William Travis, who wrote the Victory or Death letter at the Alamo. I understand who William Travis is. I just don't understand why the city of Austin, named after Stephen Austin, isn't also the county seat of Austin County. So, there you go. So, I circle College Station. Well, okay. Anyway, look, I don't know. It's Texas, okay? Your guys' biggest victory is beating the Mexicans. Like, ooh, very, very, very brave. Jen says, why isn't Sandusky County in Sandusky, Ohio? Because they're idiots. It's also why Jefferson County's county seat isn't Jefferson, and Jefferson's the county seat in another county in Ohio. Because they're idiots. And they should have done it a way that makes sense. I'm not like, if you don't do it that way, it's very retarded. But yes, trust me, I understand. And Sandusky is the... Yeah, there's all kinds of problems there. There's all kinds of problems. So there you go. Austin, yeah, there we go. So, anyways, show the Illinois district map. Oh, I agree. I'm not saying this is not very gerrymandered. This is actually very good what they want to do. And when you compare it to, Illinois districts, it's really bad. Illinois has done a lot to preserve their ability to carry power. Or as we talked about on Thursday night, when you look at how things are in, like here's Illinois. Does that seem fair? I mean, look at these districts they do, and guess where these districts are that ring. Look, it's like rings around Chicago. Is that fair? No. No, not at all. And then you look at you know, you want to talk about states where people are screwed. You want to look at states where people are screwed. It's actually a disaster. And I showed this before, guys. Here's Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Are you telling me there's no Republican voters in these areas? Because there certainly are. And look, they get nothing. It's districted away to make something happen. Yep, the Dems rewarded Adam Kinzinger by getting rid of him. Yeah. He sold out the Republicans, and then he got fucked by the Democrats, which is great. Yeah, there's a lot of states, guys. And Kathy, we'll check this out real quick because Kathy, your realtor in New Jersey, if you guys are trying to buy, sell, lease, whatever it is in the state of New Jersey, Kathy is your woman. Check her out. I don't know if how many people are looking to move to New Jersey, Kathy, but if they are, hopefully someone has used you either from me or Joe plugging you. I'm just saying. I hope at some point somebody does. I really hope they do. And it's interesting because New Jersey's maps, you're like, well, how is this going to work? And how does it work for? How do you get these things? Well, these states are not properly done in a way that you can win. Let me see here. What is? Trying to find that. They showed a bunch of different colors. I don't want different colors. I want the current one. Yeah, well, actually, here you go. I hate to use Reddit, guys, but this is pretty good. This is a map of the House districts in New Jersey, and look at them over time. And just look, you know, there's House districts being drawn, and look at, you know, at one point New Jersey was all red for the most part, and now look, it slowly gets eaten away. Slowly gets eaten out. I hate to say it like that, but and look, boom. You know, things got condensed, and now, yeah, it's been a little tough. All right, guys, sorry about that. I clicked the X on the wrong video. But yeah, Chris Christie came after me, Chad. I'm sorry. Oh. For your birthday, can you wish away all the Jeets? Oh, I'd like to wish away a lot of things. Oh. Very, 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 yeah. Don't cross any bridges. Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's where we are with things. And if you guys see, you know, when you talk about the 2020, you know, for 2024, you know, when you want to see about New Jersey, here's the congressional districts. I mean, and when you look at this, well, who won? Who won in New Jersey? This is how it's at right now currently. These are your congressional districts in New Jersey, and look what controls the state. This little strip right here controls the state. To the fuck off the rest of them. But at least in New Jersey, there are Republican seats. There are Republican seats in New Jersey, at least. But remember, that's so different Then New Hampshire and Massachusetts. I mean, how does that work? How does that work? You know, when you talk about the 2024 election results, Trump got nearly 40% of the vote. Do you see 40% of Republican representation on this map? No. 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 Nope. And yes, once again, Illinois is a great example of what happens. Because Illinois, once again, you've got all that in Chicago. And then they do the massive cities. You know, they have like East St. Louis, and then they run all the way to Springfield, Urbana. And they pick all these little urban centers up. And then look, these guys are way down here, but they touch the little bit of Chicago. And this bit of Chicago right here controls this entire district. And then look at this motherfucker. What is this? What is this district right here? That district is just... How do you do anything with that? How do you do anything with that at all? You can't. You can't do anything with that. I don't know. I don't know how you have any districts like that. It's just absolutely garbage. It's just absolutely garbage. And I mean, we're going to look at this one real quick because I want to see what it is. So this guy... So we're going to talk about the 17th one. That's that goofy looking one here. I'm going to look this up on a map. We're going to do this together, chat. We're going to do this together. We're going to do this one together because I want to see how far this goes when you're with this guy. Okay. So there's Bloomington, Illinois, Normal, Illinois. All right, we're going to do Google Maps here. All right. So we've got the city in Normal, Illinois, which is right here. That's part of this big, goofy district we're looking at. Okay. So let's then just kind of map. Well, actually, will the map show it on here? Hold on here. Yeah, Illinois 17th Congressional District. There we go. Yeah, here we go. Look at this map, chat. On the map, on the map, on the map. So here we go. Here we go in the state of Illinois. Look at that map. Look at this district. Look at this district right now. Everything's normal. Nothing's here. I know people talk about that. Oh, well, it's so bad in Texas. Here we go. Let's look at this map. Measure distance. Let's just measure if you wanted to drive from... If you live in there, and let's see how far it is to Rockford, Illinois. You know, you're like, it's 129 miles like that. But let's do this. Let's go from here. If I want to drive all the way around this county or this district, let's throw some points on the map. Here we go. Oh, wow, that's not really working like I wanted to. No. There we go. We'll remove some points. We'll just keep making points on the map. So, like, if you go that far, it's 225 miles to drive in this place. It's a 200-mile-long district. Like, I get out west. If you're out west somewhere, That's going to happen. But that's a long way to go for that. And the guy who runs it, where is he out of? What's his office here? Eric Sorensen, where's his office? He's out of Moline. Okay, he says he runs out of Moline. Okay, well, that's in the Quad Cities. The Quad Cities. But even then, in the Quad Cities, if you don't know, Chatter, Davenport, Moline, Rock Island, and I forget what's the other one down here. It's Moline, Davenport, and I forget where the hell else. But anyway, if that's where he's at, is down here in Moline, that's still the goofiest district in the world because he's like kind of in the middle of this weird bow-shaped thing. And that means he's like right there, which it's still ridiculous. Still redonkulistic. So it's still a disaster. It's still a disaster. So I just, it's just something that you understand what we're looking at here. Redistricting, gerrymandering, is it a new thing? And yes, to the victor go the spoils, as they should. But for this fight that people are alleging, and the funniest of all is all the representatives, we talked about this, from Texas. Where did they fly to? They flew to Chicago. They flew to Chicago saying, this is where we make our stand. Oh, Bettendorf. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. I'm making dreadlock maps. The Quad Cities are in ag country. Yeah, and the Rock Island Arsenal's right there, which it's neat to tour if you ever went a chance to tour that. It's a Muslim crescent, you bigot, yes. James is kind of weird about the Rosenberg ring. Almost all Jews and Ukrainians. I mean, shh. Oh. Democrats go to Chicago like geese fly. Yes, they do. So now what do we know here? And Nero, I don't know if I would agree with this, but what happened, and we're going to get into what they did because Betto O'Rourke ran a PAC. He's been running a political action committee. And right now he has been paying for the travel, the hotel, the dining. He helped charter the flight. Now, where is he getting this money from? Well, probably from George Soros and other people funding it. But he has been doing that to help get these people out of town because if they leave, they have no money. So he's been paying for them. You guys remember Betto O'Rourke? He is this guy, the multi-time failed, this is him here. If you guys have seen it before, if you think about it. This is Betto O'Rourke, the multi-time loser out of Texas. I mean, he was a representative out of El Paso. He was, trying to run in 2020 for a bit. He tried to run for governor. He's had many, many unsuccessful campaigns. He ran against Ted Cruz in 2018, got BTFO'd. I mean, he lost. He lost. He's run for governor. He's lost. He ran in 2020 to become president. He lost. Ran in 2022 to become governor and lost. All he does is lose. But that's Betto. Bob, the fake Mexican here. This is him. Losing at everything he's run so far. Nobody beats Zodiac, I know. Ted Cruz took him out. The guy who claims he could skateboard, yes. Betto is one hell of a hacker, though, yes. His supporters are called Betto males. Funny. So. I'd honestly suggest one representative per county. I mean, if you did that, that still becomes an issue because, like, LA County, how many people are in LA County? Los Angeles County has 9.57 million people. Okay. So, for example, that's, if you do that, I kind of have an issue with that because this is LA County. This is LA County. Okay. That's got 9.7 million people in it. You do one per county. This is Vinton County, Ohio. It's the least populated state in Ohio. At the census, the last census we had, that's where it is. That's Vinton County, Ohio. 12,800 people live in the entire county. I don't know if I think that. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. And the county seat for Vinton County, its population, the population there, and it's the county seat is MacArthur, 1,700 people in the town where all the stuff is. That's the largest town in the county, 1,700 people. Versus 9 million, or even here in Cleveland, in Cuyahoga County. Like, that's, Cuyahoga County's size is 1.2 million. This is 1.2 million. These guys, should they have the same amount of representation? I don't know about that. Because that makes an incentive to flood. That makes an incentive for people here to come flood this county and fuck with it and ruin it. I don't think I like that. So, yeah. Why ain't the population so low? Because it's in the middle of Appalachia. There's nothing there. I mean, there's nothing here in this area. It's all fucking woods. I mean, there used to be, like, in the 1860s, they used to have the steel industry used to be here, but that's when they used, like, furnaces built in the side of hills before they could build, like, big steel plants. But this whole area, except for Athens, where Ohio University is, I mean, this whole area is really, and when I say this whole area, I mean, really, like, basically from south of Canton all the way to, like, here. There's, like, nobody that lives in this part of the state. But there isn't much here in these areas. There isn't really anybody here. This is Appalachia, man. It's mountains and hills and some coal mines, and that's about it. A lot of fracking, but yeah, there's not a lot of jobs. It's one of the biggest things. So Betto was the chairman of Jesse Jackson's presidential campaign. I didn't know that. Hold on, he was? Nothing there except me, yeah. In Mississippi, the smallest populated county is Issaquena with 1,500 people. That's not a surprise. Do I like Vivek for governor? No. No, I do not. I don't wish to redeem. Jesse Jackson ran for president twice. Yeah. Yep. T-Rex Trekkie says, fun fact, Vinton County, Ohio is home to the Vinton Experimental Forest. Has the only remaining example of Belgian coke furnaces used to produce coke to smelt iron ore. Yes. Yes, they used to, and guys, that's how they used to do old iron furnaces. It's how they used to make iron and steel back in the day. If you go to this part of Ohio, there's multiple places like Franklin Furnace, Vinton Furnace. there's a bunch of them that used to be there. And this is an example of what it was. It was a big furnace put on the side of a hill where the wind would blow in and just, they would suck in air and they would make tons of iron. That's how they make big chunks of iron back in the day. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to Vivek becoming governor. I don't need him pajiting Ohio too much. So I don't want it. But anyways, let's move on. So what happened? Well, Tarrant County, Texas, it's out of Fort Worth. The governor through the attorney general got a TRO, got a restraining order against Betto for the group he was running and the hustle and the scam he was running, interfering in the Texas House. So he got a TRO and setting a hearing and a restraining order. Now, here's the thing, though, and this becomes an issue we just talked about. How can one state judge in Tarrant County, Texas, bind me everywhere else in Texas? I don't think that's going to uphold. And that's a thing I have an issue with. You know, if I'm in, I mean, and this is just so you guys need to understand, like, Texas is a big motherfucking place. Like, you could joke about how far along it takes you to go places in Texas, but Texas is huge. Huge. I mean, when you think about what goes on in Texas, this is the problem here. I go to Tarrant County and I get a piece of paper from a judge saying I can't do something. Does that count for me if I'm in Crockett County? If I'm in Deef Smith County, which Erasmus Deef Smith, because he was deaf, but they call him Deef. This guy's actually got a really cool story in the history of Texas. What he did with the Rangers is actually pretty neat. But, you know, does it work that same way if I'm in Moore County, Texas? Or if I'm way out here in Culberson County, Texas? Is that really fair? Does that make any sense? No, this is no different than getting Hawaii judge to make an injunction. It's like, but how far does it extend? Does it extend all the way if I'm down in Hidalgo County? Does that really make sense? Does that really make sense? No, I would argue it doesn't. If I'm in Valverde County, well, you know, that one's very Hispanically named. But anyways, does that make sense? Does that make sense to anybody? No, it doesn't. It does not. And that's the problem here. That's the problem. Or if I'm in Nacogdoches County, does that make sense to you? No, it doesn't. And this is where I kind of have a problem. I'm avoiding the P320 arrest because he's paid by Glock. What happened? I don't know what you're talking about. Don't mention Alaska. They hate it. Yeah, well. So, another TRO, lots of these going around. And that's the thing. When this whole idea of using TROs, I don't know if, like I said, is this really what, like, we can all sit here and go, oh, Betto BTFO'd. Yep, we can. But is this really, like I said, I'm not worried about abusing it. It's just like, I don't think there's any basis in law. Once again, how a judge in this county right here can tell me what to do if I'm doing something down here in Houston. Like, how does that work? Or like I said, if I'm up in Hereford, Texas, does that make any sense? No, it doesn't make any fucking sense at all. Does not make any sense at all. I don't. It doesn't make any sense to me. And that's the thing, guys. If you guys don't realize, Texas has a gajillion fucking counties in it. I think there's like 192. But if you wanted to do total counties in America, Keopathic, you mentioned that. The total counties in the United States, like, this is the problem. for every state, including boroughs up in Alaska and parishes in Louisiana, there are 3,100 of them. Like, I don't want Congress having 3,100 seats. And this is a great county map here. Hold on if I can find it. In 1790 there were 292 counties. Like, okay, but I can't have 3,100 counties. I can't have 3,100 counties. So Arizona's got like 8. Yeah. Minnesota has 87. Ohio has 88. But there's multiple states with over 100 counties. And that just becomes an incentive to Texas has 254 counties. I'm sorry, chat. But like, here's how this works though. If I'm looking at if you're looking at all the states with counties in them that have a lot, here's how it breaks it down. Here's how you break it down. Like, this is what happens. Texas has 254. Texas in the 254, Georgia 159, Kentucky 120, Missouri 115, Kansas 105, Illinois got 102, Ohio's got 88, South Dakota is 66, Idaho's got 44, Delaware has 3, Connecticut has 8. They're massive fucking states out there. We have more than 87. We have 87. Minnesota's got 87. Ohio's got 88 counties. Too bad we don't have 14 regional governments, but we try, chat. We try. So, yeah, that's the thing. Jeebus, this is so autistic. What, that we're talking about this and breaking it down, or that we're looking at these numbers? It's just an example of why I don't like that. Yes. Is the county coded language? Well, the way they taught it when we were kids is you have 88 counties like keys on a piano. Is Ohio based? Of course it's based. Based on what? Yeah. So, yeah, but that's the thing. In Arizona has got how many counties? But which one matters the most? It's Maricopa County anyway. So I could see that being helpful in a place like Arizona. But, that, like I said, it becomes an issue after a while, I think. And I think that it's an untenable mess. It's an untenable mess. So, wasn't trying to pick on you there, but it's just something to think about. Anyways, let's get back to this. I don't think, once again, we're now using it, and I think this is, so. Anyway, it's Betto O'Rourke and his PAC, powered by people. What is it with the Democrats and going back to slavery? It's powered by people. Yes, they love using people power. They love using people power. They went to war over using people power once. So, anyways, there was an application for a TRO. They had a Zoom hearing, which is, that's the beauty of COVID. We can now do things fast. The court finds that the harm is imminent to the state, and if it does not issue the TRO, the state will be irreparably injured. Specifically, the defendant's fundraising conduct constitutes false, misleading, or deceptive acts under the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act. Is that really what this is meant for? Because the defendants are raising and utilizing political contributions for Texas consumers to pay for the personal expenses of legislators in violation of Texas law. I'm sure the people who are donating to Betto O'Rourke's PAC are 100% fucking okay with that. So, we already know that's going to happen. I'm sure everybody who donated wanted that to happen. Nobody who's donated to this PAC is going to say, wait, we're paying for what? No! They're going to be based. Even though they're Democrat losers and soy boys, they're going to go based. But they're going to be totally fine with this. Gavin Newsom says he's going to offset it by doing the same thing in California. Well, they've already done that to California. California's already been gerrymandered to shit. So, but yes, they want to return to traditional labor practices. Yes. So they say this conduct is unlawful and harms Texas consumers. Does it really? Is somebody donating a political cause? Are they really a consumer? I don't think so. If I donate to a PAC, I'm not a consumer. Like, yes, you probably are consume, but you're not a consumer in the traditional sense. And she says, furthermore, Democrats will continue to engage in unlawful fundraising practices and utilization of political funds in a manner that violates or directly causes Democratic legislators to violate Texas Penal Code, the Texas Election Code, and the rules of Texas House and another law. I mean, maybe, but to argue this hurts consumers, I think, is a little retarded here. Consumers have and continue to suffer irreparable harm through these unlawful acts. Do you have proof of that? Because they're making contributions that are being used to fund personal expenses. I mean, like, let's say there was somebody who's really upset about that. Let's say somebody who's really upset about that. If you donate money to a PAC, you should assume your money's being used to pay for hookers and some congressman to rail hookers in a cocaine party. If you're not expecting that to happen, I don't know. I don't know. You should understand. It's like buying Funko Pops. Exactly. And these people are political gooners. Yes, the people supporting this are political gooners. They know what they're getting into. So, hookers and blow. No, not hookers and blow. Railing some intern. Different than a hooker, slightly. It's a hooker that went to college. So therefore, they immediately restrained the defendants from using political funds for the improper, lawful, non-political purposes. Of funding out-of-state travel, hotel, or dining accommodations or services to unexcused legislators during a special session, or funding payments of fines provided by Texas House rules for unexcused legislative absences. Raising funds for non-political purposes, including, and this is where you could probably get them on things, but I don't know. Still, I'm not sure. Funding out-of-state travel for the legislators or funding payments of fines through the Act Blue platform or any other platform that exists for political fundraising. Betto also can't offer, confer, or agree to confer travel, hotel, or accommodations to the unexcused legislators. And he says, removing any property or funds for the state of Texas during the pendency of this lawsuit. I don't know how the fuck they could constrain their money like that. I don't know if that's legal. I mean, at the end of the day, do I just want to sit here and go, ha, 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 yay, go team? Sure. But as I told you guys, chat, and even when we were, like, I was on Pisco, I think he was a little upset I wasn't going to, I'm being honest about things. But yeah, I do think this is improper. I think this is an improper exercise of power by this judge. And I don't know if this is legitimate. So, but I mean, if we're just playing if you're playing the team game, yeah, this is fucking based. This is absolutely fucking based. That laugh sounded fake. I know. But I mean, if we want to sit here and argue, like, well, fuck them. I mean, like, yes, if we're on the who gives a fuck truck, then yeah, it's great. But on principle, though, this is no different than the shit that's being done at the federal level. Nero says the state's freezing accounts all the time. And they might have that authority. I don't know, but I would argue the court, the premise and the action they got to where they froze the funds, I think is not correct. So, it's like April's orgasms, yes. Cal says the who gives a fuck truck. Is it like the bang bus? No. It's just that we don't care. And I remember that because when I worked at FedEx, that's the only reason why I know this. When I worked at FedEx, when I first started working there back in 2008, like right after I graduated college, I started working there immediately upon graduation. I moved up to Toledo, got ready for law school, and I got a night job up there. And back then, you guys probably remember this, FedEx, they were kind of a little behind on technology. to check packages, you had to visually inspect the thing and check as you're loading. And you might say, well, how hard can that be? As long as you're not retarded, they have a chart in front of you, and you can, it has all the zip codes that are listed on it, and you start memorizing them after a while, and you start knowing which ones are good, which ones aren't. So you just start, checking them, but they made you check them to verify you checked. You would write the last digit of the zip code on the box. And they give you these big, thick black crayons. And I was loading I was on one of the load wings, taking loads, making loads all night long. Big old loads. We got done, and, they brought up a new trailer to the door, and we opened it up, and somebody inside of it said, hey, look. And they wrote on the side of the thing, and it had a little truck hauling a trailer. And they said, look, it's the who gives a fuck truck. Basically, they're implying I don't give a fuck. And you're not allowed to, I was in a trailer with I was still new. And the guy I was with, he went and told the boss, somebody graffitied the trailer. That's not good. It's it's just, you could probably scrub it off, but it's not like the customer was ever going to see it. But FedEx took it very seriously, and they're like, well, where did this trailer come from? And they were trying to figure out, did it come from our yard? Was it used previously? I don't know. Anyways, I always thought that stuck in my mind. It's the who gives a fuck truck. Well, guess who's on the who gives a fuck truck? Not me. I'm not on the who gives a fuck truck. Distributing loads, yes. I tested UPS's queue. FedEx was not union. UPS was union. I wasn't no dick sucking Teamster. Thank you very much. I worked in a union-free shop, by God. He didn't confess. No, but I got in trouble one time because we did find a trailer that had some graffiti on the back door. Somebody had written on a trailer on the back door. And in Toledo, where I worked, we did international shipments up to Canada from Toledo, because you could go up through Detroit into Windsor and stuff. And it was on the door for people loading into Canada, and they didn't realize because the trailer had sat outside with the door up the whole time, and it was a nice couple of days. It was sunny out, so we just backed it up and didn't notice it. Well, when it came time to seal the trailer, they pulled the door down, and somebody had written with a big old Sharpie on the back of the thing, and I forget what they had said. But I asked the manager who was in charge of the Canada stuff, I'm like, if we just write it in French down below, will that make it legal? They got really mad. They didn't think that was funny. I got wrote up for that. Oh. So. Yes, it's like the inside of the fuel control panel of every Chinook helicopter is written "fuck you," and the doors are referred to as the "fuck you" door. Funny. Oh. Can agree. UPS sucks big old balls. Yeah. That sounds like made up like Mudahar. Show us your FedEx credentials. I think I still have a badge laying around somewhere. So I emptied trucks like a Bobo. No, I didn't do unloading. I did loads. I didn't do unloading. Unloading is fucking easy though. You can fly in a trailer. Trailer falling apart. They don't care. That's actually how FedEx kind of handled stuff. All kinds of retarded shit would happen, and they were just like, they didn't care. But somebody wrote the word "fuck" on the inside of a trailer, and they'd lose their minds. Yeah, nobody else got the reference tactical fumble. They were very upset about it. Because they had to take it over to the shop, and the guys at the shop had to take some white spray paint and paint it over. And, the way the garage worked, it's an independent contractor. So I'm sure they charged $300 to take a can of Krylon and just over the door. So. Rhea Perlman. No, Rita Perlman wasn't on the truck, you noob. It was John Candy, and then the black guy, and then the crazy white guy. Rita wasn't in the truck. She had already been caught by the Canadians by that point. Duh. When Dan Aykroyd found him. Duh. All right. We're going to move on from here, though. I just don't see the legal authority for this at the end of the day. So the foregoing orders shall remain in effect from the date and time of the entry of this order until 14 days after entry or until further agreed by the parties. And they issue notice to Betto, and powered by people. Once again, that's the most like slave referred thing ever. That the state's application for the TRO is set for August 19th at 10 a.m. The purpose of the hearing will be determined whether it should be issued further on the same grounds. This hearing will take place in the courtroom. And this is weird how Texas does it. The 348th District Court, like each judge runs for a judicial district. Like they number the courtrooms, like each judge seat. It's so weird. Because like here, you just run for the seat in the county. And it's not the first like if there's 3 judges in the county, there is the first, second, and third district court. It's just, Lake County Court of Common Pleas. It is very weird how they, like I said, every state's fucking weird. In Texas, you're weirder. Even the weirdness is bigger. So the court shall issue a TRO in conformity with the law and terms of this order. They say pursuant to Texas civil things, the state is exempt from bond requirements. Which, I mean, yeah, because they can literally do it forever. And anyways, Megan Fahey is the judge. She was appointed by Abbott previously, so there you go. Missouri Battleflag says, once Texas issues a valid restraining or protective order, it applies across all Texas counties. You just can't leave the county to avoid its effect. Yeah, but does that really make sense here, though? You're enjoining this guy who, he's in a different county. I mean, why did they go all the way up and found this one judge? They found a judge who would give them what they wanted. This is forum shopping. I don't like it. Once again, if we're doing like on a principle and stand, there's got to be a way you can go after Betto that would really hurt him. Maybe you could throw him in jail for it. That's legitimate. This is kind of gay in my opinion. Now, once again, if we're just fucking scoring points, based, I love it. But I'm trying to give you guys an honest answer here. So, you got to have jurisdiction to start with. Well, yeah, and I mean, what did he do here to get jurisdiction? I don't know if he has it, but whatever. Whatever. Like I said, guys, I'm not a big fan of it. But if we're playing the game, it's all based on sports. Then yes, it's based. Mega based. Jefferson Post says, yet Vermont, all blue, requires no gun license. Is weird. Vermont has Vermont's got some. They got an assault weapon ban or a magazine ban, I think, though. Dolly says, would it be possible to do straight lines or squares? I mean, that would make a lot of sense. I mean, look at Texas. They have like square lined counties everywhere. Nero says they took handouts not to vote, which is a bribery. It's illegal in Texas. Is it really a handout like that if they were already going to do it? You're not like, that's my argument I would make if I was defending them and you actually indicted them for bribery. I was already going to do the action. You didn't entice me to do anything. I wasn't doing this in exchange for your money. I was already going to do it. So I don't think it counts as bribery. Jefferson Post says, I know people in Massachusetts who've donated Betto. Oh, I'm sure people all over have donated. And then T-Rex Trucking, I forgot to say, for $9.99. Thank you. I might have forgot to say that. Another says Clyde for governor in 2026. Oh my God, I would totally vote for that ticket. I would vote for that. Keopathic says law is an autistic endeavor. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's why I'm only slightly retarded and I do okay at it. But you get really retarded people and they do really good at it. The share screen button, you appreciate the share screen button on the potentially criminal website. There you go, yeah. Nero is saying correct. Yes, when I worked at FedEx on the load and unload lines, unloading was the easiest because they had the unloaded machine belts. Yeah, they did. They had the booms that go into the trailer. While loading, you had the rollers. Yeah, you have to rely on the rollers on the trailer. And also, when you're unloading, you don't really care because you don't have to pay attention to what you're doing. When you're loading, you actually have to build the wall and build it properly when you're in the trailers. So, yes, it's a very different game out there. Now, yeah, it's just like dem judges. Yeah. Yeah. And no, and I agree the basis for the order is that but is it deceptive fundraising though, Missouri? And this is what I'm trying to tell you. I don't think it's deceptive. Everybody who's voting for it knows what they're getting, or everybody who gave money knows where it's going and wants it for that purpose. So I would argue it's not deceptive. Unless they're arguing their deception is to avoid admitting to committing a crime, but then I still don't think they've committed a crime in Texas, and I would defend them on that. So once again, if we're just playing we're on the right, this is based. If we're not, though, like I said, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to bullshit you. I will never bullshit you. I'll tell you guys what I think at the end of the day. Now, we're going to get into the big thing here. This is something I told you we wouldn't get to on Thursday night, and we didn't. If the parties were reversed, would this be an insurrection? Yes, it would be. Yes. And also, I understand there is the philosophical issue of we're dealing with people who only understand the boot heel. And I get that. For the Democrats and the left, they only understand a boot heel, which, okay, then we got to do what we got to do. So, is the crime them leaving the state? Well, the crime is them refusing to show up to work. And then they're being paid not to work. So, but anyways, this is the order to go after Gene Wu. He is one of the people in charge of this insurrection in the House. And it's a writ. It's a writ of Quo Warranto. Remember, we talked about this on Thursday night, guys. Quo Warranto is what you do to challenge somebody's eligibility. They're not allowed to take that office. They're not allowed to be in that position. That's what this is right here, okay? So, for example, if somebody didn't win the election or they weren't eligible or something happened, this is a writ to prohibit them from using their power. And it's a writ where you challenge under whose authority and by what authority. As I told you, Charles I said this at his trial. Under what authority does this body convene? And under what authority do you have the right to take this seat? And so they're doing it, and they're going after Gene Wu, a Texas state representative. So why do they want to get to this? Well, we're going to get to, and notice, this is a Supreme Court of Texas thing, so they have all their requirements. It's appellate stuff. You have a table of contents, authorities, a statement of the case, a jurisdiction, the issue presented, introduction, and facts. And we're going to get to all these real quick here. So let's move along as we get to it here. And ultimately, the issue is, has a representative forfeited his office of state representative and created a vacancy? Because if they can do this, they can kick out everybody who's left, and the governor can put people in that will make quorum. Because in Texas, you need 2/3 to make a quorum, which means if the Democrats leave, they don't have enough. Now, this is just really, I don't like the Reddit style writing. What's at stake? Nothing less than the future of Tejas. Now, what happened? Well, these guys have left and they're running out the clock. And remember, we talked about, so Texas, the state legislature is not in session all the time. They're in very limited sessions. It's like 90 days. And then they have special sessions after that. But most of the time in Texas, the legislature is not in session. Unlike a lot of other places where it's like in session all the time, like House. Or like California or Ohio. Or like in Congress. Like they're in session almost all the time. So they talk about this here, and they say, this also means every state budget could be held hostage until the whims of a small fraction of legislators is satisfied. I mean, that's kind of the nature of politics in general, though. They say, it doesn't have to be that way. It just sounds so Reddity. But maybe there isn't. Maybe there's something they could argue here. This writ of Quo Warranto exists to solve rare problems like this. And they said, so here too, the court will determine if only 1/3 of the legislature could dictate the outcome for 100% of Texans. Well, I mean, when you get down to like voting, like 51% can determine the outcome for everybody. Now, they said, fearing one of the 18 items on the agenda, Democrat members claimed an entitlement to abdicate their duties. Well, okay. But refusing to show up for work. And they said they did this to deprive the House of a quorum. Remember, it's 2/3 to show up. And they were led by this guy, Gene Wu, who recently fled the state and continues to remain absent. And now they're arguing they've abandoned their duties. And what is the problem here? Well, they have a 30-day session that's been called. And they say that records suggest the absconding Democrats even solicited money to pay fines incurred for their absence. And it says they may return from a quorum break for a few days and then abscond once again if that does not please them and their vote doesn't go their way. And they say representatives are free not to show up whenever they choose. If that's the case, then they don't have a representative government. I mean, well, to be fair, do we really have a representative government? Because most of our leaders don't vote in our interest. In fact, they wouldn't have a functioning government at all. To be fair, do we really have a functioning government right now? So they talk about moving on to the statement of facts here. So in June, the regular session concluded on June 2nd. Greg Abbott issued a proclamation doing a special session on July 21st and identified 18 items for the consideration. Much of it focused on responses for the flooding out in Hill Country, as well as delivering property tax cuts and elimination of the STAR test. I think that's their statewide proficiency test, which based help the people out in Hill Country cut property taxes and then get rid of statewide testing like that, which that shit doesn't do anything except show kids can be trained monkeys. The governor also directed them to consider a revised congressional redistricting plan. So what are they allowed to do there? Well, they're elected to represent their constituents in the bicameral legislature, meaning two houses, chat, not two camels, and not bisexual camels, but it's two chambers to the House, the Texas House and the Tejas Senate. So whenever the governor calls a special session, they provide the legislators shall meet, shall. Now you might say, well, is that a separation of powers issue? Remember, it's a state constitution, so it's different. The rules are different. Okay. Showing up to conduct legislative business is not cast by the Constitution as optional. Instead, by using the word shall, it imposes a mandate. And while the Constitution does anticipate an inability to make a quorum, it does not suggest an intentional lack of quorum by fleeing out of state can be used to violate the mandate. But it also doesn't say that you can't do this. Eric says, I'm so old, it's called the TAAS test when I took it. Oh. Historically, legislators have taken extreme measures to live up to this requirement, including one who, in defiance of doctor's orders, installed a gurney just off the Senate floor to ensure he could represent his constituents and fulfill his duty. And they're talking about an alien guy risks his health to stop the voter ID bill. Okay. To ensure legislators honor this duty, the House adopted rules providing that members may be fined $500 for each calendar day of absence from the chamber. In addition, any costs incurred to secure their attendance. Any fines must be paid out of the members' own personal funds rather than members' operating account or from political contributions. They say almost immediately after Abbott issued this proclamation, Texas House Democrat caucus, including Wu, began discussing possibility of breaking quorum. And they say that reports indicate to facilitate their efforts, some members sought to bankroll their obstruction with the backing of Democrat donors through Betto O'Rourke, who could cover their expenses for avoiding the vote. And they said, meanwhile, other members dutifully went along about their work. On August 2nd, the House Select conducted its fifth hearing and voted favorably to advance the redistricting legislation. Then on August 3rd, it was set and calendared for August 4th, 2025. And within hours, Wu, who's the chairman of the House Democrat Caucus, boarded a chartered plane. And yeah, who paid for a chartered plane to Chicago? Who paid for this thing? Huh? I do want to know, because it's not, and it's not like he chartered a Learjet or a Cessna Citation. He chartered like a 737. He chartered like an actual jetliner, and they all flew on it. So, as they provide, and they went to Chicago as they provided a benefit to withhold their vote and deny quorum in the legislature. They say publicly available statements, that they made indicate that Wu deliberately fled the state to abandon his duties indefinitely. He also solicited money outside of Texas to facilitate the violation. They say first he planned not to show up for work for the purpose of abdicating his duties. Weeks earlier, he traveled to California and Illinois, the great state of Illinois, to strategize with those state governors, including attending meetings, to determine where lawmakers could stay out of state while denying the Texas House a quorum. He committed to going where the governor has no power to reach in other states and remained there for one purpose, to kill the special session. After leaving the state, he claimed this corrupt special session is over. Like, they should just go abduct him and bring him back. And he says, as of today, it's over. From the Texas Democrats. Second, he's indicated his absence from the state is indefinite. When asked how long he would stay, he stated, commitment to this is one day at a time, and we're going to deal with this special session. And he says, obstructing only the current session will not be enough for him, given the fact the government can call subsequent special sessions, which he should keep doing that. Sending the Rangers have no authority, but can I send bounty hunters? I mean, maybe. But you're probably going to get arrested in that state. Like, that governor will order, like Governor Pritzker will order the police to arrest you. So it's not like you're doing normal bounty hunting. So is he no longer resident of his state? No, I still think he is. Now, he claims this could last for the end of the session in late August and possibly beyond. Third, he solicited and accepted funds. And yes, here we go, chat. On the ground in Chicago, fighting for the rights of Texans. That's a charter jet. That's not general aviation. That's commercial aviation. This is 100% real. Now, using the FBI, like I said, we talked about on Friday night, guys, cringe and gay. We're not doing that. Yes, Maddie says, if you're green, you haven't sent a message, go over to there and do it. You've got an hour. They're going to send the marshals, not the FBI. No, they said they were going to send the FBI to look into it. They should contact Eric Prince. That would be hilarious. Have Z or whatever they're called now. But yes, have the Blackwater boys do it. Is that a Challenger? I don't know what it is they flew on, but they flew on chartered flights. They flew on chartered flights. Did they charter the Lolita Express? Oh, they might have. So, have Trump send Delta Force to get them? Well, if you're sending Delta Force in, I'm not asking them to come back. If we're sending in JSOC, there's a lot of other targets. The priority list is going to be a lot longer. And if we're sending in JSOC to do like midnight kill raids, they're going to run out of ammo before they get to these guys. So, yes, SAR, you could charter a private jet larger than that, SAR. Yes, my point is, this isn't some little Learjet. This is a, 100-person airplane. That plane was a 76-seat private jet. Yeah, it's a big airplane. It would have been very expensive. Tens of thousands of dollars to get a jet like that. Hold on here. Actually, we need to look at that. What type of jet did the Texas Democrats use? Oh, they did an ERJ 170. Okay, then Embraer. Okay, sorry, Chad. It wasn't a 737, but they flew on an Embraer, which is, you're like, wait, what is that? It's, well, like American Airlines uses these and they charter them out. They use them for their, this is what they flew on. They flew on a big fucking airplane. It's a regional jet. But like I said, chat, they flew on something like this. So this is what you take if, this is kind of what they use instead of the little, this is a puddle jumper. But it's not like, you're sitting on one with the twin propellers on it. So, yeah, but they flew on a full-size, like, they flew on a legitimate airplane. It wasn't like they all piled into like some little like, when you think of like chartering an airplane, something like a King Air, like, you might think this. Like, well, this would be expensive still. It's going to be a couple $1,000s to charter that. You could probably get the money together to charter something like this on a shorter notice. Like, these people in the Texas House are not poor. But to charter something like this, that's tens of thousands of dollars. Easily. Tens of thousands of dollars. So, yeah, that jet was at least, I could see it being $100,000 to charter it. Yeah. And they took it to on a flight that likely cost tens of thousands of dollars. And see, do they have an actual cost for that? No, we actually don't know. A report indicating the initial amount was provided by Betto O'Rourke's PAC. By offering the dollars, the PAC also offered extensive resources and the dedication of all donations received, but only if they broke quorum. They say this review is needed. They say under the Constitution, the current 30-day session must end on August 20th. Wu and his colleagues waited till just over 2 weeks remained in the special session to carry out this premeditated effort. Just build a flight simulator. No! I'll never do any work. I can't. And they say Wu's gambit threatens to run out the clock on his special session, but any future sessions do. Now they say the legislators authorize the court to issue all writs of quo warranto. I don't think the legislator can do, the court would assume it's its own authority. Against state officers like Wu, and the merits of governor's claims are straightforward. And longstanding precedent recognizes that abandonment of office constitutes a forfeiture. Indefinite removal should count. And they say soliciting, accepting funds for ongoing violations constitutes bribery. I still don't think so because they were going to do it anyway. We should send Sean Flight some parts. You guys have seen my tour of this room. I don't have enough room for a sim pit. I can't afford to put a pit in this room. I'll have to move to the basement. Maybe 2.0 would like that. I don't know. But I'd have to move. I don't have enough room in here. Tactical Fumble says 100K is pocket lint money for them. Not for the head of the Texas caucus. Like, personally, no. He don't have 100K. But for the PACs, yes, 100K is easy money. So, live for 2.0's basement. Build a shed. No, I don't have any room for that either. The average hour rate of 170 is around 15K. Ooh. That doesn't surprise me. I could easily see that taking $100,000 to fly. 40 sim parts for 40 days. You keep saying you're not sure. Okay, look, here. I understand. Because there's a lot more to Texas Penal Code 3602 than just that. I don't see... Here. Okay, here we go. Is this bribery? I mean, let's look at it. Okay, where's 2? Here you go, 2. Bribery. Person commits... Here's the issue where you get to this ultimately. If you commit offense, if you intentionally, knowingly offer, confer, or agree to confer to another, or solicit, accept, or agree to accept from another, any benefit or... Okay, hold on here. For the recipient's... And now here's the thing. Any benefit as consideration for the recipient's decision, opinion, recommendation, vote, or other exercise of discretion as a public servant, party official, or voter. Okay. So explain to me where this fits. Because if Gene Wu was already going to flee the state and he already didn't want to participate, if Gene Wu already wanted to flee the state, how is that going to work? I guess is my point here. Do you understand what I'm getting at? That's my issue here. And we'll make this bigger here. All right. We'll make this bigger, chat. So, any benefit or consideration for the decision, opinion, recommendation, or vote, as a public servant, party official, or voter. I don't see how this works. Any benefit is consideration for a violation of a duty imposed by law on a public servant or party official. They were already going to do it, I would argue. They accepted money for breaking quorum. They were already wanting to break quorum. So I don't think unless you have it specifically them saying this, and this is my point, Nero, you have to show that without Betto's solicitation, they wouldn't have done this, I think. You're going to have the problem, and that's where they didn't break quorum to get the flights. They didn't break quorum for the money. They were already going to do that thing. And remember, it's kind of like entrapment. I'm enticing you to do something that which you would have not done absent my enticement. It's kind of how bribery works, though, too. And that's how most of us would understand bribery. You give me something for what you're already willing. Like, if you're already willing to do it, how can I bribe you? Now, you could argue this is conspiracy or complicity to violate Texas House rules or something like that. But I don't think this would be bribery. I mean, I think I'd argue it's not. I mean, I guarantee you, with like reading through Texas case law, courts have probably looked at it as if you're already going to do it and intended to do it, it's not bribery at that point. They already wanted to leave and were planning on leaving. So that's why I don't think you can get that. I don't think you can get that. You know what I mean? Then you get to like number 4 here. Any benefit that's a political contribution or that is an expenditure made or reported in accordance with the government code. If the benefit was offered pursuant to an express agreement to take or withhold a specific exercise of official discretion, if that exercise would not have been taken or withheld but for the benefit. I mean, and that's where, like, this is kind of where you are. Like, it would not have been taken or withheld but for the benefit. The fact that Texas has already included that here, I think already kind of points out, like, but for the benefit. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. If you violence for a politician, that's bribery. But that's why there's reporting laws and all that stuff. A PAC is saying we can get you a plane isn't bribery. No, because they were already going to do it. You were already going to do it. But here's the thing, Nero. I get your argument here. Accepts doesn't require intent. But I'm doing it as consideration. I was already doing it. If I'm already doing the action, I'm already leaving the state. Oh, here, let me pay for that. I don't know if that would count. I don't know if that would count at that point. If I'm already doing the action, is it still bribery? I've already announced I'm going to do this. Is it bribery then at that point? If you then give me money to do the same thing I've already agreed to do. I don't know. That's where I think that maybe it'll work. Maybe it will work. I don't think it would. I don't think it would. I don't think it would. I mean, that's the argument I make if I'm these guys in Congress, the Texas House. I think they have a very strong argument. And I don't know if people would vote for it. Now, could I see a court saying, no, it doesn't matter? Sure. But just how I would argue the bribery statute, I would argue you haven't committed bribery yet. Now, maybe I'm wrong and Texas would say this is 100% bribery. I just don't think this is not even in the spirit of the law, much less the letter of the law. So that's all I would say there at the end of the day. Like I said, I'm not here just to tell you, oh, hey, based. I'm trying to give you an honest legal assessment of that. I don't think that counts as bribery. So, like I said, chat, I don't gas you up here. I don't lie to you. Don't gas you up or lie to you here. I never do that. So they talk about the court of original jurisdiction issue a writ. Yeah, well, the courts have, that's a writ you can get. Now they talk about, did Wu file a response? I don't think so yet. I mean, this is something that's going to take a couple days for him to respond. He would have a chance to respond. So, access, I don't care, indict all these losers. Yeah, I know, but that's, like I said, I'm just telling you the truth. Now, yes, like I said, if we're going to talk about the cheerleading of it, fuck yeah. If I called them slurs, you'd be cooler. Thank you, Tony. So anyways, they point out the governor may not simply declare the office holders have forfeited their office. They have to. Instead, they have to go to the judiciary. And to this end, the Supreme Court, has the original jurisdiction issue these writs. And they say that, this court can issue all writs agreeable to the principles of law against any officer or state government except the governor, which is a little weird, but you can't get a writ against the governor, which I don't know Texas governmental code, but what do I do if I want to get a writ against the governor? Who do I go to? I don't know. So they say it's clear a member of the Texas House is an officer of state government. I would agree. More than a century ago, when describing the proper object for writ proceedings, this court held a phrase must be given its plain meaning, and I agree. Yes, he's an officer of the branch of state government. Yep. He's invested with some portion of the sovereign functions of government. Yep. Be exercised by him for the benefit of the public. 100% agree. Unsurprisingly, the oath of office provision classes members of the legislature, and yeah, that makes sense. So he's a proper subject. I agree. Instead, he's addressing the ongoing abuses by ousting a non-user who has abdicated his responsibility. So far, it makes sense to me. Quo Warranto, and they're pointing out, lies in the cases of also of a non-user. Forfeiture of a franchise by neglect. Yeah, and notice they're going back to Blackstone as commentaries on the law. 1775. No, we did not watch the impeachment trial. James Phipps is saying that Texas, the governor's the third most important. The lieutenant governor and the railroad commissioner have more real power. I wouldn't surprise me in Texas. Yes, Texas has a railroad commissioner. Yes, it is a very, very powerful job. Remember, chat, the railroads are still one of the lesser thought of powers in America, but they still hold a grip on the government. And they probably will forever until we, I don't know, no matter what, because rail is the king of travel. So they say the governor is likewise a proper movement. They say that, from here, they say at least since the reign of the Tudors in England, most of the informations were brought on the relation of private suitors. And they say, though, that this court agrees before the Civil War that information by quo warranto could be filed by a private person when challenging a public inquiry. And it's the thing here. Wu's willful renouncing here for the express end is a quintessentially public abuse of power. But when you look at who's suing, guys, he's suing Greg Abbott in his official capacity as a governor of the state of Texas. So he's not suing as Greg Abbott, private citizen. He's suing as Greg Abbott, the governor. So where are we at here? So they point out there is not a limitation on the writ here at this point. And they say, in other words, the people of Texas and the people's representatives expanded access to the writ by conferring additional authority on this court. And they say the two proceedings may run concurrently. They say that you can do this different ways. You could do it in a trial court. And then there's also original jurisdiction in this court. So they could have gotten injunction right away, but they did not. They went ahead and got to the chase. And they say the governor as a chief executive may direct litigation even when state law does not otherwise provide the attorney general a cause of action. True. They could still sue even if they don't automatically have a cause of action that's statutorily listed. They say this court finally has exercised its discretion to entertain this petition. They say the court has treated quo warranto as discretionary rather than mandatory. Now, and that's true. It's not always guaranteed. And they say first, time is of the essence. Yeah, we only got so much time, and then they'll completely derail this. And second, Wu is improperly holding office for reasons explained below. And they say third, there are disputed issues of fact. And they say Wu may be believed he's justified in doing this, but he cannot dispute the numerous public statements showing the bargain he struck in exchange for his willful refusal to appear. So they stated that when you publicly state your departure from Texas and break quorum, any dispute over these actions suffice for removal. They say his premeditated and ongoing quorum breaking, he's forfeited it. Now, what are they challenging? They're challenging the improper usurpation of an elected office. One familiar notion is the pretender to the throne, claiming an office that was never his. And that's true. You challenge people. You're challenging their authority. Under what authority do you wish to hold this power? And they say at common law, quo warranto lies in the case of non-user. And an office could be forfeited by neglect. They say that remains the law in Texas. Your right may be forfeited or lost by a non-user or misuser, and that's true. If you misuse your power, you can be removed. Though the party continue to assert it. Kind of like Stacey Abrams. She could claim she's governor, but that doesn't mean she is. And they say the non-use or misuse must be with actual or imputed intention on the part of the officer to abandon and relinquish the office. And you can infer it from their conduct. And they say that Gene Wu has expressed his intention to abandon the office 3 times. And he said acknowledging his abandonment and accepting compensation and other benefits. So his willful refusal to serve is abandonment. So they go through this. Every elected officer, including Wu, swears an oath to faithfully execute the duties of the office. And say that includes the principal duty of a legislator is to attend and participate in legislative sessions. Yep. And they say quorum provisions further underscore that attendance is not optional, it is an affirmative constitutional obligation. And the House can compel attendance of absent members. Yes, every state allows you, as the sergeant at arms and the speaker of a house, to have the sergeant at arms go out and bring in absent members. And back in the day, you would get arrested and drug into the chambers, like at handcuffs. Just like you have a subpoena power for witnesses to court, you could bring them in. And I say that power would be meaningless if members could freely make themselves absent for political advantage. They say such actions also render meaningless the government's authority to call a special session. Well, James Phipps says, well, they can compel, but what are the means outside of Texas? Nothing. I can't send the Texas Rangers to go pick him up in Chicago, but if Gene Wu was hiding out in El Paso, I could send the Rangers after him. I could send government officials to go arrest him and bring him back. But yes, the Texas shouldn't have the authority to extend outside the state. They are limited to their jurisdiction. And they say such actions also render meaningless all of that. And they say he has renounced these constitutional mandates, that he's paralyzed the Texas House. Nor are these mere collateral consequences. They are the very purpose for which he willfully fled the state. Then he says, preventing the passage of legislation that he opposes. Texas Rangers can go out of state. They don't have the authority to enforce Texas law in other states, though, James. Like, yes, Frank Hamer and, what was Manny's last name? Like, when they killed Bonnie and Clyde, like, that was a little different. But yeah, you don't have that authority anymore like that. They fought a border war in Mexico around 1910, yeah, but now they wouldn't be allowed to do that anymore. The Texas Rangers would have no authority to go into Mexico. Like, yes, things happened in 1910. Yes, I get it, but we're not in 1910 anymore. Like, they have done that. That doesn't mean it was legal then. So. AK Blackfoot says Texas may not be able to reach outside the state, but if Texas is cooperation of the feds, could the feds drag people back? No. Because what would they do? Under what authority do the feds have to enforce a Texas court order like this? None. Aren't national warrants a thing? That's different. The state of Minnesota said we have a nationwide warrant for his arrest. Okay. But nobody has to enforce that. Like, Minnesota can't enforce it. Minnesota could ask the state of California to hold him and enforce that. Like, the state of Minnesota can ask the federal government, hey, can you hold this guy so we can decide if we're going to pick him up for extradition? But the state of Minnesota can't send police to Texas and wait at the El Paso airport and pick Ralph up. That's very different. Very different things you're arguing there. So they say, well, even if there's interstate pacts, Governor Pritzker is not going to enforce the law, so therefore it's done. They won't enforce the warrant. So there you go. And yes, the Fed should not be involved in state level problems like that. It's not their job. And it says, accordingly, the scenario is entirely unlikely. The representative who intentionally misses a vote or is forced to be absent because of a sudden illness or emergency. Things happen, but this guy's clearly skipping out. They say absconding from the state during a mandated session, not for lawful cause, but for the purpose of subverting the ability to function, is a violation of his oath. They say it's no answer that he continues to serve as a representative. His own statements show refusal to actually serve. And they say that's because what representatives do is represent their constituents in the chamber. They appear for quorums. They meet with other legislators in hearings. They speak with their constituents. They debate bills. And in the end, they vote. And that's a very big thing here. It's like, you could say you're doing everything, but eventually you're never voting. And that's a big problem. You have to vote. You have to vote. And if you don't vote, I don't know what more you can do. I don't know what more you could do there, guys. I don't know what more you could do. I don't know what more you can do there, guys. Don't know what more you can do. He puts the votes in the bag. Yes. James Phipps says Texas law sees the Rangers extrajudicial as illegal as the federal government has no say. I'll tell you this much: if I was sitting here in my front porch, and like the Texas Rangers can't just show up and enforce a warrant on people here in Ohio, and if somebody killed them and shot them to death on their front porch, I'd say too bad, so sad. The Rangers do not have jurisdiction outside of Texas. Read the Texas Constitution. I don't give a fuck about your Texas Constitution. Texas Constitution is buck broken. Those brokies. That's what happened. And that's the other thing in Texas. Texas, you know why Texas joined America? Because they were broke. They were brokies. Riding high off their victory of beating the mighty Mexican army. It's like, ooh, you beat the Mexicans. How brave. They got broke. And they said, please, Mr. Government, help us. We're too broke. The Texas Constitution has no authority outside the state of Texas. So, like I said, if the Texas Rangers tried to enforce a law like that extrajudicially, I hope whoever does that fucking kills each single one of them. I'd vote not guilty on that person's jury every day of the week. I don't care what the warrant's for. Yes, the Death Star state. And real quick, while we're here, got to address this real quick. Cat, not Williams, guys. Remember, Cat is over covering the Nicholas Casotis trial, or Katosis. I don't know how you say it. Over in Georgia. Guy chopped his wife up. You know, hey, we've all been there before. She's been covering it. It's been ongoing, guys. Check her out. Show her some love over there. But Cat, but not Williams, for 5 subs. And guys, remember, Doug Weinstein from the YSL trial is trying this case. And yeah, let's see. What else is he? They got day 4 was on the 8th. And I guess they didn't go to trial. Let's see here. Also, Cat, you're at 31K. Nice. Let's see here. Video. What's being scheduled? So there's apparently a guy named Jim still missing, and we don't know about him. So where's Jim? I don't know. Where is Jim? So anyways, thank you, Cat. I appreciate the support there. Danny says, you find a Republican judge in Illinois if there's one to enforce the Texas warrant. Well, they have to be in your jurisdiction if you're the judge. So you still run into the same problems. And then TT Cook. Why is everything all being all whopper jawed for me? Here we go. TT Cook says, so if P1 is going to do a thing and person 2 says, so if A is doing a thing and B pays to insure it, happens, how is that not in some way a bribe? P1 was going to do it anyway. I mean, unless they have proof that Wu, like if they have communications that show Wu would not have done this absent it, I think that's kind of where you have a problem. I think that's where you have a problem ultimately. So where I'd argue, at least here in Ohio, I'd argue that. In Texas, I'd argue the same thing, but maybe there's a difference in Texas law. We don't know. Don't know. And they say, well, let's keep moving though. But thank you for the super chat, TT. I mean, like I said, I'm willing to, I'm telling to give you guys the arguments I'd make. If it turns out I'm wrong and they're fucked, then hilarious. I hope they suffer. But I'm just, like I said, I give you guys an honest answer. Because I'd rather do that than give you guys a bullshit answer. And, you know, I could sit here and make stuff up or just tell you guys shit you want to hear. Sorry, I'm trying to pick up a piece of hair that was like floating around on my desk. I couldn't get. I could tell you guys what you want to hear, but that's not how I roll. Not how I roll. And it's not the first time I'm wrong. Won't be the last time I'm wrong. We'll see. So they say, of course, he's free to vote against it. They say he is not free to choose to be a legislator in name who forgoes his mandated task of actually legislating. Say most people who repeatedly fail to show up for work get fired. Well, it depends on what type of job you're working. But yes, I would agree. Hold on here, chat. There we go. Buy a hat for your hat? Yes. Let me see here. Let me see. Oh, you said something here. Kat says, I'm back at the beginning, but have an awesome birthday tomorrow. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Kat. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Remember, guys, give her a look if you guys want to see a good trial that's going on. I've been told it's very good. So they point out that public servants must be held to the same standard, even though they continue to assert their office. He has functionally left of his own accord. And it is no answer he could eventually be removed by the voters for the damages he have caused are immediate and irreparable, extending beyond his district and impacting voters throughout the state. A voter in Lubbock, a voter in Dimebach, is that a real place? And a voter in Kerrville, which that's where all the kids drowned, have no recourse for action by Wu. And they say his actions violate the requiring forfeiture of office, Article 16, Section 41. And it says there's a good reason why bribery may form the basis for removal from office. They talk about removing bribery here, and they say that, for example, state officers sign a swearing statement they have not and will not exchange things of value for the giving or withholding of a vote. Once again, I don't don't think so. I would just kick him out if he's not absent, if he's been absent. So that's how I would handle it. So only after filing the signed statement of the Secretary of State may members of the legislature take their oath, swearing to faithfully execute the duties of the office. That is based that they have to do that. Only after filing that signed statement can they take power. I think that's very cool. I think that's very cool. And they say, should they prove untrue to the word, the Constitution has more to say. It says, any member of the House who does all of this or solicits indirectly for himself or another from any company, corporation, anything of value or personal. No, here's where it says, okay, from any company, corporation, any money thing of value or of personal advantage, or promise thereof for his vote or official influence, or for withholding that, or any understanding expressed or implied that his vote shall be influenced thereby, shall be held guilty of bribery within the meaning of the Constitution, and shall incur the disabilities provided for said offenses. Now, this is from the Constitution. This may be enough for him to be removed from office. But throwing him in prison, I don't think this is appropriate. But this like impeachment, this is like a civil penalty. I could see this sticking. But doing it under criminal, I don't think so. Now, this is going to be required. Like, have they done this before? Have they removed people before? Under what grounds? Maybe. So they say, in other words, Texas Constitution makes forfeiture of office the default remedy for any legislator who accepts money for things of value for withholding his vote or official influence. It is up to district attorneys to prosecute criminal bribery allegations. And I think that's a correct statement. I think that's a correct statement there. James says, this is what happens when libertarians write your state constitution. Yeah, but I like some of this. I kind of like this whole part right here. I like this. I like this thing. I like this whole thing. You guys can't see where I'm. I like this a lot. I like this idea that if we could prove it a civil trial that you've done bribery, we can remove you. I think that's based. You want to do Clyde's name to the tune of the safety dance? C C C C L L L L Y Y Y Y D D D D E E E E. You could bork if you want to. All right. So I think it's up to this court to determine whether the forfeiture has occurred under the Texas Constitution. The same underlying conduct that could form the basis for law violations may also serve as a predicate for a quo warranto relief. And they say Wu's actions broke that line at full speed and never looked back. They say he met with outside groups weeks in advance while planning the break to procure funding. He demonstrably accepted things of value, including an expensive trip on a jet, to facilitate the withholdings by effectuating his out-of-state absence. He continuously solicited money for both himself and others, and he did all of that in exchange for his failure to perform the most basic duties placed upon him, showing up for meetings of the legislature when convened by the governor. Once again, I think it becomes an issue of timing and more of just what do you have to show explicitly he did that. So there's 528 amendments. Jesus. Guys are crazy. They say on their face those actions violate Article 16, but they also could constitute crimes. Well, that's where I think you need to just not worry about the crime part and just keep moving. They say this is why the House rules impose fines for unauthorized absences. Using outside funds to end run the penalties designed to secure compliance is not merely unseemly, it's also a privately financed violation of duty imposed by law. And they point out that you're not allowed to just You have to pay your fines on your own. And they say removal from the state for an indefinite period likewise amounts to an abandonment of state office. And this is great. If they can make the argument he's abandoned the state and he says he's not coming back at all until he decides, you could argue that he's not living here anymore. And I think that would be a fair argument if the court wants to make that. But I think making that argument is far more stronger than saying he accepted bribes. So let's keep going here, chat. They say if any member removes his residence from the district for which he was elected, his office shall be hereby vacated. And I think this is where you go. You attack here. This is far more effective. And it says Texas courts have interpreted removal to require both physical departure and an intention to remain away. And there you go. I think this is far more effective. Here's the thing. This is far more punch than your bribery stuff. They say ordinary temporary absences do not offend this provision. However, a deliberate and indefinite departing, coupled with the solicitation of funds to prolong that absence, is anything but ordinary. Self-imposed exile, yeah. This affects a vacancy of office. And I think that's a far better argument to make. Far better argument to make. Once again, well, here's the thing, Mitova. I understand what you're saying. Had he not gotten the money, he would have been living out of his fucking car. So it didn't change what he was doing, I think. They say it hardly matters on paper. Wu might have had a homestead and file on Texas. At present, he has no stated intention of returning. And I think this right here, once again, bam. Another, look at these guys. This is just boom, boom, boom. It's exile. He's exiled. He's an Illinoisan now. I think this is what you have to do, guys. Instead, he intends for Texas to not be his home for as long as he dislikes the subject to a vote. He remains in Illinois for what matters, not some abstract intent subject to a future contingency. Very correct. When's he coming back? Whenever he decides. They say this is not a dispute, it's a crisis. They say the special session expires in 2 weeks, but Wu apparently has no intention of returning. Instead, he claims the special session is over, permitting him to occupy his office so that he can abdicate. And they say, perhaps these absent members expect someday to return to Texas and be held as heroes who fought by fleeing. But in the meantime, they're preventing the legislator, duly called by the governor, from addressing the needs of Texans. And they say, we're trying to do flood response to the judicial omnibus bill, all kinds of things. And they say in the future, whenever the governor adds an item that they may find offensive, they may feel empowered once again to leave and deny. They're talking about Texas Constitution Article 3, not our U.S. Article 3. Mandates. And they'd say the Constitution nowhere envisions Texans signing on to that kind of suicide pact. And I think this is where they can make their arguments effective. And they say that is why, in addition to laying out general principles for the order of business, the Constitution imposes mandatory duties on members to ensure they will be present to conduct business. They say representative government cannot function if officials may monetize their absence. All about that grift, chat. You got to monetize. It's like DSP. I'll do a DSP tries it, and then you don't try it. We're gonna have a marathon stream for the Texas Democrats. Abandon their options and paralyze the legislator. And they say the writ exists precisely to remedy such abuses, and there's still time for this court to use it. And they say ordering removal would ensure that public office remains a trust exercised in good faith, as opposed to a platform for private gain and governmental sabotage. Okay, well, come on now. That's pretty much what we all assume government people do running for office. I think that is something here. Yeah, that is say above all, it promises to restrain future abuses. Returning to address the problem now may simply invite it to recur, always in the final days of a session. Am I going to do another 10-hour stream? No. The integrity of Texas's constitutional order demands this court's urgent intervention. Texas voters are counting on it. So their prayer, they want he's forfeited his office and thereby create a vacancy. Alternatively, they should find that the governor has demonstrated probable cause to file an information in the nature of a writ. And they want this request, the court to rule by Thursday, August 7th at 5 p.m. Gene Wu was given the chance to respond. I think he has, but the court has not issued a ruling yet. It's going to take him a little bit of time. Now, unlike them, I think ultimately this is the proper thing. You attack on his residency. The bribery shit's not going to go anywhere. But I'd argue under Texas law, yeah, he's left the state. I said, look, I ain't coming back. Well, when you come back, I don't know, when I feel like it. I would argue you're not a resident of where you live. I mean, you're now a resident of Illinois. I mean, if this goes longer than 30 days, I would argue he isn't completely a resident of Illinois. He has an indefinite return. He's TDY out to Illinois. TDY for an unspecified period. It's like, well, that doesn't work that way. He's not there on behalf of the government conducting business. So, yeah, I would argue he's vacated the state because he's no longer a resident for purposes of the Constitution. I think it's a far more effective. That is a beautiful argument versus he committed bribery. It's like, dude, just say he fucking left and then go that road. So, where are they staying? Somewhere in Chicago. Somewhere in Chicago. I don't know exactly. But wherever they were at, somebody called in a bomb threat, which is hilarious. Debbie O for $5. Thank you, Debbie. Is saying, I thought the court requested a response by yesterday. Maybe I'm misremembering. I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think anything's happened yet. I know that for sure. And the Debbie O for 10 subs. Let's fucking go, chat. And remember, guys, frickin'. Oh, big frickin' support right here. Thank you, Debbie, for your support, your generosity. Remember, guys, it's what you're doing to the Grays. It's what you're doing for Clyde. It's what you're doing for Clyde. Thank you, Debbie. Another says, I want to hear that Wu will be drafted in the Texas Rangers to force and round up illegals. That would be funny. That would be funny. Kia Patrick says, I need $1,200 to do a tries it that I won't do. I know. And then I'll tell you to give me another $1,000 on top of it after I stiff you. Yeah, if you guys don't understand, so DSP did his marathon yesterday. And part of the thing is he basically DoorDashes food and then he gives you like a food analysis as he's eating it. And like he'll order like from Burger King or wherever. And DSP's got the palate of a bum. Everything is robust or tangy. It's flavorful. Everything. He hasn't found a milkshake he hasn't loved. Yes, as he says, is the robust urban garlic flavor. I still love that. That's a channel name for one of the detractors. But yes, it's such cringe, but he does it. Basically, people give him like $1,000 to do DoorDash every when he does his shows. So last night he had a marathon. And he's like, for the money, I'll do it. And then he did it, but he's like, oh, I'm so drunk. I'm just going to eat off screen. We're not going to do that tonight. So he blew him off and somebody said, are you going to make up for it? And he said, no, you're going to have to pay me more money to do it again. Like, fucking Negro, man. That's funny. He keeps on talking about low tier God. It's like, Phil is blacker than low tier God is. I mean, let's be real. What's the blackest thing I'd ever seen? It's like in War Dogs where the guy, Jonah Hill gives a black guy money to buy pot, and then the guy ignores him. It's basically what happened. Black side Phil, pretty much. It's Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah. All sales final. Oh, Sky Queen says happy birthday. Well, thank you, Sky Queen. Good to see you. I will never understand DSPA logging. Well, like there's people, it's people find something to be interested in. So, this hot dog is so juicy. I'm sure he would say that. Panzer Dude said, how are they transported back to Texas? I don't know. They haven't been transported back yet. They're not coming back. The Governor Pritzker has welcomed them as heroes, so they'll never go back. Yes, Phil the Kang. Yes. Who is DSP? Dark Side Phil. If you don't know, you're better off not knowing. I've known about Phil for years. I knew about Phil before I learned I knew about the farms. But he is he's a pro gamer who basically begs and scrimps for money, and he has a notorious gambling addiction to basically he raises all kinds of money, blows it on mobile games, and has basically put himself into poverty through his alcoholism and his gambling addictions. And he keeps on begging people for money. Oh, Wu apparently responded yesterday. Okay, well, not worried about the response. I'm worried about the court. But yeah, thank you, Pamela. He's an internet busker. Oh, he's worse than a busker. Wait, what? EDW donated to DSP? Oh, no. He also cannot play a game. Yeah, that's the other thing. Phil will play a video game, and if you don't give him enough donations, he quits playing it. So he quits playing games when people don't if people don't give him enough money, he'll quit playing the game that he chooses to play. So there are a bunch of games he's only partially completed. He does what's called a wage quit because he doesn't make enough money on it. Yes, every day he has to make a minimum of 100. Well, actually, not every day. Every show is a minimum of $150. So imagine having 100. He does 2 shows a day when he streams. Imagine that if I had every time and a little thing going above the head for the goal chat. He's always about the goal has to be met. It's awful. And the thing is for Phil is an evil person. It's not just he's a loser, he's an idiot. He's evil. He treats people like shit. And that's the thing. He's really evil. He treats his viewers really, really poorly. You guys make jokes that I yell at you and stuff. Phil treats his viewers like shit. The people who he donates, he treats them like shit. It's a really sad thing. Yeah. Oh, you were young and dumb. Oh, okay. He's got MPD. No, he doesn't have autism. He's just a fucking idiot. He's just an idiot. That's why I said I'd love to see Phil playing squad and he gets dropped at 200 yards. He's like, oh, there's nothing I can do. So, he beat that's the thing. Phil got one over on the IRS. He got one over on the IRS. He got one over on bankruptcy court, but still. Yeah. So, but anyways, chat, what do I think is going to happen with this? I mean, I think the jurisdictional requirements in this, he left town. I think that is the most powerful thing they can argue. I like that a lot. They should make it happen. And I think that if that's how you get rid of people, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So, yes, he's also famous for whacking it while the stream was on. He's like, oh, I didn't know the camera was on. So, from where? I think in Connecticut. I don't know. He went to some dumb fuck school. On the whole time, huh? Yeah. Yeah, that's why we say Nick Rekieta did a DSP on the Coke stream. When he's sitting there doing the... That's Nick making fun of DSP. So, it worked out that way. Yeah, Phil's somewhere in Seattle now. He's in Renton, Washington. He lives in his little castle. Clip it, Alyssa. Alyssa, no! Don't clip it! Yeah, making fun of. Well, yeah, he tried. I'm sure it sounded good in his head when the neurons were starting, like, the two neurons left fired and hit each other. So, all right, chat. That is it for tonight on this. Like I said, I think the bribery shit, I don't... Like, yes, just making these people suffer, great. I don't know if that's the proper reason. So, I don't know if that's a proper use of the law. Do I think saying he's no longer a resident? I would agree with that. I would 100% agree on that. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Like I said, just from the right side, if we're gonna team and cheerlead, suffer, commie, suffer. But as somebody who would have to deal with, the aftermath of that, is this really gonna work? I don't know. I don't think so. We'll find out. We'll find out, guys. We are gonna do a little model painting tonight. We're not gonna go very long, but I want to finish up the gun carriage and all this stuff. So we got a nice, robust, we've got a robust olive drab color on the M1 gun carriage, man. I mean, look at all that beautiful. Come on, focus. Focus. Look at that. Look at that robust, rich, tangy olive drab on this. Look at all this, chat. It's just banger after banger. Nice, yes. We're going to finish this up. We're going to take advantage of that here in a little bit. Yes, we're going over to the model bench. Bama lost his weight. How did he beat bankruptcy? He was able to bullshit the court into believing that he spends $5,000 a month on business expenses. He shielded a lot of his personal spending, which, once again, good on him. He got one over on the government. I mean, can't fault him for that. But that's what he did. He hit a lot of money. He was able to shield all kinds of things. If you want to go on the farms and read about it, it's actually he got away with a lot. So, yeah, it was all his mobile game spending. Yeah, he lied to the court and they believed him. Yeah, and once again, he got away with it. So, I'm sure Keopathics out there, he could be like, listen, I know what really happened. Two Scoops of Destroyer has been a member for 34 months. Holy shit. 34 months, man. Ooh. That's a long fucking time. I know some of you guys have been here as long, if not longer, but remember, like, I'm not making fun of you guys. It's just when you see these numbers, like the number itself, it's humbling. It really is. It's very humbling, very flattering. For 34 months. It says, happy birthday, Sean, before you switch the channel. Well, thank you. Yeah. Oh, okay. Keopathics is close enough. He reported 10K income. It said 5 of it was business expenses. A huge fucking lie. Yeah. He just sits at home all day. He doesn't, like, what's he spending $5,000 on every month? Nothing. So, yeah. Oh, P-Dub this is a good point here. Okay, for context, why is this all going on? So, John Cornyn and then Ken Paxton are going for the Senate seat. And Paxton's bringing out the bribery, and Cornyn called in the FBI. So they're just trying to show who's trying to fuck over the Democrats harder. So that makes sense. You send Sean sends you a copy of Mein Kampf if you get to 88 months. Shh. Don't spoil it. Are you gonna do a small stream tomorrow? Maybe later at the end of the day. Maybe. No Formula One tomorrow. They're on holiday. So I don't know. Probably very end of the day. I don't know. Like I said, guys, I appreciate it. I know you guys want to be here. I'm not saying you guys don't matter, but it's my birthday. Kind of might fuck around a little bit, do some other stuff. Work on some projects. But yeah, after that, I'm hanging out with the family later in the afternoon, and then I get back probably, but not anytime soon, not anytime soon. But yeah, maybe the plan, Ashley Casey's been a member for 25 months. It's happy 40th birthday. Well, thank you, Ashley. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. 25 months. Yes, go send me a birthday message. You got 20 minutes. DSP got to pull all those Hogans for his business. Yeah. Thank you, Sweet Toots. Happy 40th. Yes. 40 birthday cakes. Well, there we go. Yeah, that is 40. It took me a second. Remember, Sean makes fun of his pay pigs. Never donate. You get signed copies of Mein Kampf. Yes. Well, you'll get my Mein Kampf. Just like American History X. I love how the kid did that. He didn't even understand, like, my struggle. My struggle. Oh. Did you get your beef? Do you get beef Wellington for your birthday? No, we're gonna have like my mom's making stuff. It's gonna be like pulled pork. She does cheesy potatoes. We're doing that. I forgot to ask her to do like macaroni. She does this nice baked macaroni. It's really good. But no, we're just gonna like pulled pork and some other stuff. She's making broccoli salad. Well, no, I think she's just having broccoli, which I love broccoli. It's my favorite. Some broccoli will be really good to go along with all that. Have a stream where we just throw money at Sean because he's 40. We'll call it the DSP experience. I don't know if I want that. That would be awful. Smug and Mog has been a member for 16 months. It says, happy birthday, bro. Is that how they say it in Ukraine? Enjoy your day. Well, thank you. Thank you for 16 months. I'm not saying you don't matter, but you don't matter. Alone Alaska says, fine, I'll wish you a happy birthday now. Well, like I said, probably at the end of the night I'll be back on, but not very long. Oh. Nick is blocked null on X. I've already been blocked for a long time. That's easy, man. Ag Biochemist member for 28 months says, happy birthday, fat man. Thank you. Thank you for 28 months. It's a long time, you guys. Mamasaurus Rex for 14 months. Wow. Happy birthday, Sean. Well, thank you. Yes, my autobiography, My Struggle, will have an 80s style Ponderosa on the cover. Oh. Remember, the only approved translation for Mein Kampf is by James Murphy. Anything else has been intentionally edited. Well, that's the thing you have to be careful about when you read those. Cheesy potatoes is delicious. Yeah, well, I live in the Midwest. Cheesy potatoes is like a staple at everything. Iman Rezus, 15 months. Thank you, man. He says, happy birthday in 15 minutes. Well, thank you. Spuggun says, many happy returns. As someone pushing 50, things starting breaking now. Sorry about that, Sean. Well, I mean, like I told you guys, now almost 4 years ago where I tore my knee up. And yeah, no, I know. I went this morning. I was went to the gym. I was noticing it. Things are a little different now than they used to be. Yes, he's old. Yes. Tech Guy South for 5 months. Happy birthday, CMH man. Well, thank you. All right, guys. I forgot to set up the stream while we were fucking around all this time here. Hold on. Okay. Scheduled for 11:55 p.m. Start time, the 9th. All right, we're going to give it a couple minutes here, chat. I'm going to switch over. All right. And we'll work on painting the motorcycles. We're going to have to hand paint those, but that'll be a little more fun anyway. So it'll give us something to do. Okay, chat, that is it for tonight. Once again, we've got some political stuff to cover on Monday with the Trump. We're going to do some more Trump shows coming up because things are starting to pick up again. If you guys remember Judge Boasberg, well, things are getting a little tough for him. He got complained to by there's a judicial complaint out against him. And also the DC Circuit Court of Appeals just BTFO'd his contempt orders. And we're gonna go through that and some other stuff on Monday. Should be a lot of fun. Out there. T from Laos says, "Oh my God, Sean is a millennial." You best believe I'm a millennial. So you didn't know that? Yes. Peter Keys for 5 New Zealand dollary doodles says, "Happy birthday, eternalized gray hate." Thank you, Peter. Thank you. Play the song already. We're done. Yep. So here we go, chat. Just remember, though, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. These guys aren't guilty of bribery, but they are guilty of, changing the residency, I would argue. So here we go.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy